go ahead and take a look at finding a quadratic function where we are given its vertex and one other point. So we're going to need to be working with the vertex form of our quadratic function, which is listed up here. I'm going to rewrite this as y equals a times x minus h, the whole thing squared, plus k. And as we're working with this, keep in mind that our vertex is represented by the hk value, that's our point for the vertex, and x and y in this case is going to represent the other point that we're working with. So in this question, we want to determine the quadratic function. Our vertex is going to be the point 2, 1, and we're going to also be working with the point 0, 5. So let's go ahead and label these pieces. Since my vertex is 2, 1, that is the h and the k value. And for the point 0, 5, this is going to represent our x and y. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and work with our vertex form of the quadratic, and we want to plug in all four of these pieces, h, k, x, and y. That's only going to leave us one variable left that we're working with, which is our a value. So once we get everything plugged in, we're going to go ahead and solve for a. Now be careful when you're plugging things in here, make sure you get the numbers in the right spot. Our y value is a 5. We're going to be solving this for a. Our x value is a 0. Our h value is a 2. And our k value is a positive 1. So let's go ahead and simplify what we have here. We've got 5 equals a. This is going to be a negative 2 squared plus 1. And if we go ahead and square this negative 2, that's the same thing as multiplying negative 2 times negative 2, which is going to give us a positive 4. So we've got 5 equals 4a plus 1. So let's go ahead and subtract the 1 from both sides. And then we can go ahead and divide both sides by 4. So we're going to end up with an a value of positive 1. Right, and keep in mind this tells us some information about our graph already. Since we know the a value is positive, we know we're going to be working with a parabola that opens upward. Right, so it's going to have some type of minimum value, and that would occur at the vertex if we were going to go plot it. So let's go ahead and take the information that we have. We still want to find the equation for this quadratic, so we're going to come right back to that vertex form of our function. So let's go ahead and write it down. I've got y equals a times x minus h, the whole thing squared, plus k. And this time, since we're looking for the quadratic function, we need the x and y value to stay in our formula, right? So we're only going to be plugging in for these three pieces: our a value, the h value, and our k value. So let's go ahead and plug those in. We've got y equals, our a value was a 1, x minus, my h value here is a 2, that whole quantity is squared, and our k value is a positive 1. Right, and we can go ahead and leave it like this. That's kind of in vertex form, but for right now, let's go ahead and take it just a little bit farther. Let's actually multiply it all the way out so that it's in that ax squared plus bx plus c format, our standard form of the quadratic. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and square this set of parentheses. And keep in mind what it means to square something. We're going to be multiplying the x minus 2 times itself. Right, and we can go ahead and distribute or FOIL two sets of parentheses there. I'm going to go ahead and leave my 1 all the way out in front. So if we FOIL this out or distribute, we're going to get x squared minus 2x minus 2x plus 4. Alright, I'll go ahead and close my parentheses there, and then I still have this plus 1 all the way at the end. So we can go ahead and simplify what's inside our parentheses. This is going to be x squared minus 4x plus 4. And then we have that plus 1 all the way at the end. Now, we got lucky because we have this 1 out in front. If it was any other number, we'd have to go ahead and distribute that number all the way through those sets of parentheses right there. Obviously, if we multiply it by 1, we're just going to get that set of parentheses right back. So we've got x squared minus 4x plus 4 after we distribute that 1 through, and then we still have that plus 1 at the end. So we have some like terms here that we can go ahead and combine. So our final answer for our quadratic function is going to be y equals x squared minus 4x plus 5. Okay, and if we went ahead and graphed that, we would see that it is a parabola that's opening upward. And you'll notice in this format, right, we've got our y equals a times x squared plus bx plus c. Our a value from earlier was a positive 1. Right? And that matches up with what we had as our final answer here. So that's kind of a nice way to do a little visual check. The a value is not going to change, and it should not change, right? Because that's what we solved for earlier in the problem. So a nice parabola here that opens upward with an a value of 1. So x squared minus 4x plus 5 is the equation for this quadratic.